with Mr. Sinister having taken over the Quiet Council during Sins of Sinister, infecting them with his own genes to turn them into sinister versions of themselves, can Sinister truly be trusted this time with control of Charles Xavier? What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, today's video, we're going to be talking about Immortal X-Men number 17, written by Kieron Gillen with art by Juan Jose Rip and color by Daniel Curiel. So when we get to this issue, we have discovered that Charles finally knows the truth about what's been going on with Mr. Sinister. The sinister strain that the Quiet Council members Exodus, Emma Frost, Hope Summers, and Charles Xavier himself were infected with, it was revealed not too terribly long ago that Forge had found a cure for the Sinister strain that would destroy it and basically leave them free of Sinister's influence going forward. And we learn in this issue that that cure, while Forge did say that there was a percentage of a chance that there will be some modicum of the Sinister strain still left in them somewhere, there was never really a 100% accuracy deal here. The truth is, Forge's cure worked, except for on Charles Xavier. Charles Xavier still has the Sinister strain in him, but not in the way that Charles might be thinking. A little ways back, I did a video talking about the history of Charles Xavier and Sinister and how the reveal that we saw at the end of Immortal X-Men number 10 that showed us that Xavier was corrupted, had been taken over by Mr. Sinister, that wasn't the first time. Mike Carey's X-Men Legacy series back during 2008 is something I discussed on the channel recently, and there'll be a link up here where you can go check out that video where I discuss it. But basically, the Project Black Womb that is mentioned in this issue, that is what Sinister is talking about. The remnants of that attempt that Sinister made on Xavier's body is still there, only in very small doses, and it's just enough to give Sinister a foothold into one of the world's most powerful telepaths. Now, that said, it doesn't give him 100% control of Xavier. It's not a situation where Sinister has been controlling Xavier this entire time. That's not the case. Xavier has very powerful psychic defenses in place, and someone on the level of Sinister would not be able to manipulate him in any way, shape, form, or fashion without him recognizing it in some way, at least not without that Sinister strain. That version, it was easier for him to do because he broke him down at his most basic genetic level when Charles was resurrected following his death in Immortal X-Men number 10, that very same issue. The truth of the matter is that for Sinister to be able to take over Xavier's body, Xavier has to be asleep. Xavier is, when he's up and walking around during the day, he has complete and total control of himself. But whenever he goes to sleep at night, that is when Sinister strikes. And Sinister reveals that he's not been doing this in any way that is malicious. He actually doesn't want to harm Xavier. He wants Xavier's help. Now, to be fair, no one should ever trust Mr. Sinister, but right now, this is a Mr. Sinister who is desperate. He knows that they're in the end game now. All bets are off. He has to come clean about what's coming their way because he had discovered at the end of Sins of Sinister that while he was trying to attempt to achieve Dominion status, to become an entity so far outside of time and space that he could avoid the Phalanx. And he knows the Phalanx are coming, and he knows someone else has already achieved Dominion status. One of the things I saw come up a lot when I was talking about the idea that whoever it is that achieved Dominion status was a Sinister, and a lot of people thought, well, it's got to be somebody else. And I feel like this is kind of like a Hydra Cap situation. I feel like when people see something that is incredibly obvious, at least it was obvious to me, but they see this and they think, no, it has to be something else. And I've seen people come up with all kind of crazy ideas, crackpot theories of things that will never happen. Let's just be honest, they won't happen. You're setting yourself up for disappointment if you're believing that those things will happen. But Kieron Gillen has already told us that it's a Sinister. He has literally said this in interviews, that the person who is in Dominion status at the end of Sins of Sinister is a Sinister. And Sinister reiterates that in this issue. He says that whoever it is, he doesn't know who they are, but they are a Sinister. He has spoken to them, he knows how they talk, and he says that is what they are. Now, it's not to say that Sinister couldn't be wrong, but Kieron Gillen's not the type of guy that would, in an interview, mislead you on what it is he's going to give you. So I would say if the creator of the series says that the person in Dominion status is a Sinister, well, guess what? That's what it is. We just don't know which Sinister it is. And while Sinister is very forthcoming in this issue, he shares all of his information, even some things that he doesn't want to share with Xavier, some things that Xavier finds out for himself while he's rooting around in Sinister's mind. This is all something Sinister's doing voluntarily, mind you, but he didn't want Xavier to find out everything, but all the information we know about what Sinister's been up to, the whole idea and reasoning behind what he was doing in Sins of Sinister, everything going on with all his experiments, even down to, as I said before, things he didn't want Xavier to know. The idea that Sinister is, for the most part, out of clones, that the only thing left are his homunculi, which aren't even really actual people. They're just things that exist. They don't have any actual drive or personality or anything of that matter. That's all that's left. Everything that Sinister is holding on to right now, because once again, you gotta remember, he's still in the pit. He was never taken out during Uncanny Avengers when Hydra Cap busted the Fenris twins out. He's still down there, and the only foothold he has in the real world is through Charles Xavier, and he doesn't want to lose that because he knows if he loses it, it's gone forever. Because Charles does actually make an attempt to himself just to get rid of Sinister. So yeah, Sinister's coming clean. He has no choice but to. He's told Charles about the secret labs, he's told him about his regrets over screwing up things for Krakoa, and he's also told Charles about the Dominion. The only information that Sinister does not tell Charles, and it's not even something that he did on purpose, it's the fact that he doesn't know about Mother Righteous. He knows about the Sinister clones. He knows that there are 4 of them, including himself. He just hasn't figured out that it's Mother Righteous who is the one that has been revealed. Like, the audience knows it. We, the readers, we know. But for the most part, the only other people in the Marvel Comics universe who know this are the other Sinisters, Orbis Stellaris, and Dr. Stasis. Sinister wasn't privy to that information. Not only has he told Charles about what's going on with the Dominion, he has also told Charles about a little something he has cooking over on Muir Island. Now, that said, that's where they're heading by the time we get to closer to the end of this issue. And I'm gonna go on a limb and say we'll probably see a reunion with Moira, because it's safe to say he's probably gonna take him to some of the Moira clones if there are any left. And not only is he gonna do that, I feel like Moira, because that is pretty much her lab, she's very likely going to have something in place that would let her know if someone was snooping around there. So we'll probably see Moira again. There'll be some kind of a reunion between her and Charles Xavier. There'll probably be some more big reveals that are brought out in Immortal X-Men number 18. But as far as all that goes, we get a couple of more clever little turns here in this issue. One of those being with Mother Righteous and Destiny. Destiny, pretty much since the lead up to Sins of Sinister, has been difficulty seeing past the Hellfire Gala. And we know why. It's because she kept saying, all I see, everything around me is white and hot. Basically, that was a clear sign, if any, and I didn't even catch it back then until it was closer to the time of it being revealed, that she was talking about the white hot room, that was what was coming, and that is what has been blocking her ability to see beyond it, especially now that she's in it. And Mother Righteous knows this, and she's also aware that due to other events going on that we'll talk about here in just a moment, that it seems like mutant kind is about to get out of the white hot room, except Mother Righteous isn't quite ready for them to do that yet. So what she's done is she's going to kill Destiny in order to keep the mutants from having any kind of insight on what it is Mother Righteous is planning to do, because Destiny has been on to Mother Righteous since the day she showed up at the end of Sins of Sinister. The only problem is that she didn't have any proof as to why Mother Righteous should not be trusted, despite the fact that Righteous was giving the mutants everything that they wanted, especially Mr. Sinister. Destiny tried to warn them, but she had been shooting so many wide shots at Mother Righteous, and because she doesn't have the ability to see the future right now, she has not been able to accurately tell anyone anything that would even help her case at any point. And not only that, all of her wild shots at Sebastian Shaw, which, to be fair, all of them were true, but she didn't have any proof then either, and she was always playing really cagey and wasn't being the most forthcoming person when it came to her visions. So that was another reason why no one really believed her, even though she was right about Sebastian Shaw. He was working for Orchis, or at the very least, he was through Mother Righteous, and now he's working with Orchis full stop. But all of that aside, just as Mother Righteous is about to kill Destiny, Destiny says something very telling. She says, outside time and space, it can't see me. This is a direct reference to the Dominion and something that has kind of been loosely muttered by almost every Sinister, but this, I think specifically, is about the person who will achieve Dominion status. Being outside of time and space is exactly what a Dominion is, and the Phalanx can't truly perceive anything that exists outside of time and space, or at least maybe they can perceive it, but they can't do anything to it. That was the whole point of becoming a Dominion. It was to be able to escape the Phalanx. But regardless, none of what Destiny is saying is enough to stop Mother Righteous from stabbing her in the chest, killing her. With her last dying words being, "You don't know what," and she's cut off at that point. And it's very unclear what she's trying to tell Mother Righteous. It could be just as simple as, Mother Righteous, you don't know what you're about to become, or you don't know what it is you're about to do. And honestly, it could even be a little bit of both, because truth be told, her killing Destiny might actually be more damning to Mother Righteous than she probably realizes. She might actually need Destiny's visions during the upcoming rise of the powers of 10 and fall of the House of X, or whatever. House of X2. There you go. House of X powers of 10-2. There you go. Bam. Done. I made it that much more simple. It's safe to say that whatever, Mother Righteous thinks is going on, she feels like she is on the right path. And I would dare say she probably has a good reason to believe that, because now she has access to the Phoenix. Well, it's not to say that Mother Righteous is suddenly the new wielder, the new host of the Phoenix Force. That's not the case. But she does have possession now of Jean Grey. After her deal with Destiny, that whole thing fell apart as soon as it happened, because the young mutant Kafka had discovered what Mother Righteous had done and told Exodus and Hope about it. So now everyone knows that Mother Righteous is on that Fox News bullshit. And to make matters more interesting in this is that while she has taken Jean as her hostage, keeping her chained up no differently than Apocalypse had earlier in previous issues, we now know that this is a part of her plan. She has access to the Phoenix now through this Jean Grey. And while some may wonder if this is, the real Jean Grey, because as we saw before, that the Jean Grey that was in the White Hot Room with Exodus and Hope early on seemed to be a mental fabrication. Everything that we have been seeing in the White Hot Room are basically the White Hot Room creating these things that are feeding off the dreams and nightmares of all the mutants present, specifically Exodus. But just the same, these were all fabrications. But this is, for all intents and purposes, Jean Grey, because as we saw at the end of Jean Grey number 4, the Jean that had died at the Hellfire Gala, who is now just a disembodied telepathic entity, she had seemingly placed herself inside of this version of Jean Grey in an effort to bring herself back to life. And in a roundabout way, it seems as though Jean did this a bit too early, that the whole point of her being in the White Hot Room is so that she could be truly reborn. And it seems like the way it's all worded here is that she didn't cook long enough. It's like, she took the Hot Pocket out of the microwave just a little bit too early. It's lava on the outside, but it is beyond the wall cold on the inside. Either way, Jean is basically back, and she has retaken the Phoenix Force as herself, and you can even kind of tell that the narration that's going on here, because typically the Immortal X-Men books are all narrated by a specific X-Men for that specific issue, and in this case, it would be safe to assume that it was Jean. But I feel like what we're actually getting here is not so much the narration of Jean Grey, it's more the narration of the Phoenix Force itself, and one can make a case for it being a little bit of both, but at the end of the day, it is very much the Phoenix that is actually talking to us here. But now that Mother Righteous has Jean Grey as one of her pets, and is now effectively controlling her, she can leave the White Hot Room, go back out into the real world, and do whatever she wants. Right now, the mutants are too busy dealing with the Krakoa Atlantic satellite island that Mother Righteous had taken during the Hellfire Gala. She has unleashed that, turning it against the mutants, and they have their hands full right now. So just as we thought the mutants were about to get out of this situation, now that they got the Phoenix on their side, they now don't have that, and they're down one destiny. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video and you want to keep up with more of my coverage of the X-Men as well as other comics from Marvel and DC, make sure you click that subscribe button and tap that notification bell. That way you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, let me know what you thought about Immortal X-Men number 17. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.